Warning: this stream is rated for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Blessed are those who give without interest, who offer themselves and expect nothing in return. Hallowed are the places of small sacrifices, where the thankless work is done. Sacred are the acts of true adoration, for they reveal the heart of the divine. Envy not the givers in the crowd, earning praise for their generous deeds, for they have received their reward. But for those who give in secret, more shall be given unto them. They shall be called blessed, the true saints. The restorers of streets to dwell in. And life shall be forever theirs.
The legend of Polybius is a strange tale, shrouded in mystery. As best we can tell, someone went to great lengths to make it seem only half true. A legend of an arcade cabinet that may or may not exist. I say seem only half true because the legend appeared to just randomly pop up on the internet one day. But as I dug deeper and deeper, I found contradictory evidence that suggests Polybius was not only real in the 1980s, but that it's still alive today. I'm almost frightened to find the truth. I don't know where this journey will take us, but I do know that whatever we think we know about Polybius, we've only barely scratched the surface.
And now, our feature presentation.
Chapter 1, in which we are introduced to Winnie the Pooh and some honeybees. Here is Edward Bear coming downstairs now. Bump, bump, bump on the back of his head behind Christopher Robin. It is, as far as he knows, the only way of coming downstairs. But sometimes he feels there is really another way. If only he could stop bumping for a moment and think of it. And then he feels that perhaps there isn't. Anyhow, here he is at the bottom, and ready to be introduced to you. Winnie the Pooh, a bear that is a dear friend to my son, Christopher Robin. Sometimes, Winnie the Pooh likes a game of some sorts when he comes downstairs. And sometimes, he likes to sit quietly in front of the fire and listen to a story. This evening...
What about a story?
What about a story, I said.
Could you very sweetly tell Winnie the Pooh one?
I suppose I could. What sort of stories does he like?
Stories about himself, because he's that sort of bear.
Oh, I see. All right. Once upon a time, a very long time ago now, Winnie the Pooh lived in a forest under the name of Sanders.
What does under the name mean?
It means he had the name over the door in gold letters and lived under it. One day, when he was out walking, he came to an open place in the middle of the forest. And in the middle of this place was a large oak tree. And from the top of the tree, there came a loud buzzing noise. Winnie the Pooh sat down at the foot of the tree, put his head between his paws, and began to think.
That buzzing noise means something. You don't get a buzzing noise like that. Just buzzing and buzzing without it meaning something. If there's a buzzing noise, somebody's making a buzzing noise. And the only reason for making a buzzing noise that I know of is because you're a bee. And the only reason for being a bee that I know of is making honey. And the only reason for making honey is so I can eat it.
So he began to climb the tree. He climbed, and he climbed. And as he climbed, he sang a little song to himself. It went like this.
It's a very funny thought that if bears were bees, they'd build their nests at the bottom of trees. And that being so, if the bees were bears, we shouldn't have to climb up all these stairs.
Pooh was getting rather tired by this time, climbing all that way, but he was nearly there now, and if he just stood on that branch...
Help!
said Pooh as he dropped on the branch below him.
If only I hadn't. You see what I meant to do? Of course, it was rather... It all comes, I suppose. Help! It all comes from liking honey so much.
Pooh crashed into the gorse bush at the bottom of the tree.
No bother.
He crawled out of the gorse bush, brushed the prickles from his nose, and began to think again. And the first person he thought of was Christopher Robin. So Winnie the Pooh went round to his friend Christopher Robin, who lived behind a green door in another part of the forest.
Good morning, Christopher Robin. Good morning, Winnie the Pooh. I was wondering, if you've got such a thing as a balloon about you.
A balloon?
Yes, I said to myself coming along. I wonder if Christopher Robin has such a thing as a balloon about him.
What do you want a balloon for?
Pooh looked around to see that nobody was listening, put his paw to his mouth, and said in a deep whisper,
Honey.
Well, you don't get honey with balloons.
Well, I do.
Pooh said matter-of-factly. Well, it just happened that Christopher Robin had been to a party the day before at the house of Piglet, and Piglet had balloons at his party. Christopher Robin had taken home a big blue one, and he went to retrieve the big blue balloon for Pooh.
It's perfect. You see, when you go after honey with a balloon, you don't want to let the bees know you're coming. With a blue balloon, the bees will think I'm part of the sky and might not notice me.
Wouldn't they notice you underneath the balloon?
They might, or they might not. You can never tell with bees. I'll try to look like a small black cloud. That'll deceive them.
So, Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin went out with the blue balloon, and Pooh went to a very muddy place that he knew of, and rolled until he was dark all over, covered in mud. Then he took the blue balloon from Christopher Robin, who was just heavy enough to hold the balloon without floating away, but Pooh was not. And when Pooh took the balloon from Christopher Robin, he immediately began to floating up into the air, gracefully rising up to the bees and the honey. Pooh stayed there, level with the top of the tree, and about 10 feet away from it.
Hooray! You did it, Pooh!
Isn't that fine? What do I look like?
You look like a bear, covered in mud, holding on to a balloon.
Not like a small black cloud in a blue sky?
Not very much.
Ah, well. Perhaps from up here it looks different. And, as I say, you can never tell with bees.
There was no wind to blow him nearer to the tree, so there he stayed, about 10 feet away from the tree. Winnie the Pooh could see the honey, he could smell the honey, but he couldn't quite reach the honey. After a little while, he called down to Christopher Robin.
Christopher Robin, I think the bees suspect something.
What sort of thing?
I don't know for sure, but something tells me that they're suspicious.
Perhaps they think that you're after their honey.
It may be that. You can never tell with bees. Have you an umbrella in your house?
I think so. But what will an umbrella do to help?
I think if you would bring it out here and walk up and down with it and look up at me every now and then and say, "Tut tut, it looks like rain." Well, I think if you did that, it would help the deception which we are practicing on these bees.
Silly old bear.
So Christopher Robin went home and got his umbrella, and when he came back to the tree, he opened it up and walked back and forth a bit. Then looked up at Pooh and said,
Tut tut, it looks like rain. Tut tut, it looks like rain.
Christopher Robin, I think I have discovered that these bees are now definitely very suspicious.
The bees were now buzzing as suspiciously as ever. Some of the suspicious bees had left their nest and flew all around the cloud, and one little bee even sat down on the nose of the cloud for a moment.
Robin, I've just been thinking, and I've come to a very important decision. I believe these are the wrong sort of bees. Quite the wrong sort. In fact, I think they would make the wrong sort of honey, because they're the wrong sort of bees.
What do you intend to do then?
Yes, definitely the wrong sort of bees. So I think I shall come down.
How do you intend to come down, Pooh? If you let go of the string, you'll fall very fast to the ground, bumping into branches along the way.
I did that before. It wasn't very pleasant. I don't think I want to do it that way again.
Winnie the Pooh decided he did not want to get stung by any more of the wrong sort of bees. So while they were buzzing suspiciously all round the little dark cloud floating under the blue sky, Pooh began to swing his cloud body back and forth a bit. But Pooh didn't realize his swinging back and forth was bringing his sky blue balloon closer to a sharp branch, and on one swing, the balloon pinched up to the end of the sharp branch, and pop! The balloon started letting out its air. Pooh started floating down to the ground faster than when he had floated up.
Don't worry, Pooh. I'll catch you.
Christopher Robin reached out to catch Pooh as he came down, but he wasn't as ready to catch Pooh as he thought he was, and they both tumbled to the ground.
Oof! Oh, thank you so much, Christopher Robin, for being here on the ground and catching me. You're a good friend.
But Pooh's arms were so stiff from holding on to the string of the balloon all that time that they stayed straight up in the air for more than a week. And whenever a fly came and settled on his nose, he had to blow it off. And I think, but I'm not sure, you see, that is why he's always called Pooh.
Is that the end of the story?
That's the end of that one. But there are others.
About Pooh and me.
You, and Pooh, and Piglet, and Rabbit, and all of you. Don't you remember?
I do remember, but Pooh doesn't remember them very well. That's why he likes having it told to him again, because then it's a real story, and not just a remembering.
You're right, that's just how I feel, I said. Then Christopher Robin gave a deep sigh, picked up his bear by the leg, and walked to the stairs, trailing Pooh behind him. On the second step, he turned and said,
I think I'm ready for bed now.
And up Christopher Robin went, Winnie the Pooh with his bump, bump, bump going up the stairs behind him. Chapter 2, in which Pooh goes visiting and gets stuck in a tight place. Winnie the Pooh was walking through the forest one day, humming proudly to himself. And, while he was humming to himself, he was walking along happily, wondering what everyone else was doing, and he was wondering what it felt like, being somebody else. When suddenly he came to a sandy bank, and in the bank was a large hole.
Aha! If I know anything about anything, that hole means rabbit. And rabbit means company. And company means there will be food.
So he bent down, stuck his head into the hole, and called out.
Is anybody at home?
There was a bit of a scuffling noise from inside the hole, and then silence.
What I said was, is anybody at home?
No, and you needn't shout so loud. I heard you quite well the first time.
Well, bother. Isn't there anybody at home at all?
Nope, nobody.
But there must be somebody there, because somebody must have said nobody. Hello? Rabbit? Is that you?
No, it isn't me at all.
But isn't that Rabbit's voice?
I don't think so. It isn't meant to be.
Oh, I see. Well, whoever you are, could you very kindly tell me where Rabbit is?
Well, he has gone to see my friend Pooh Bear, who is a very great friend of mine. His.
But that is me. And while he is me, I am here, so he is here.
What sort of me?
Pooh Bear. I believe that is who you're talking about.
Are you sure?
As far as I can tell, I am quite sure.
Oh. Well, in that case, Pooh, my very great friend, please come in.
So Pooh pushed and pushed and pushed, and just barely made his way through the hole, the front door to Rabbit's house. And at last he got in.
You were quite right, Pooh.
Rabbit said, looking him over.
It is you. I'm so glad to see you.
But Rabbit, who do you think it was?
Well, I wasn't sure. You know how it is in the forest. I can't have just anybody coming into my home. I have to be careful. Could I possibly get you something to eat, my very great friend Pooh?
Pooh always liked to eat the little something when he went to be company for one of his friends. It was one of his favorite parts of being company. Right next to seeing his friends, of course. And he was very glad to see Rabbit getting out the plates and mugs.
I just happened to make some carrot cake this morning, Pooh. Let me get you a slice. Would you like some honey or milk with your carrot cake?
Pooh was so excited at the prospect of honey or milk with his carrot cake that he said happily,
Both. But if you don't mind, don't bother about the carrot cake, please.
Rabbit set the requested items down on the table, and Pooh, like a good guest, hungrily set about taking honey and milk and putting them in his tummy. Pooh ate, and ate, and ate some more. Pooh smacked his lips as he ate all of the honey and drank all of the milk. And then Pooh sat there, licking his paws to make sure he got every drop.
Well, Rabbit, I really must be going now. I think.
Must you?
Pooh got up from the table, looking quite rounder in the tummy, and shook Rabbit lovingly by the paw.
Yes, well, I could possibly stay longer if there is any more honey.
Unfortunately, Pooh, I don't have any more honey. You have eaten it all.
Of course, I thought not. Oh well, thank you so much, Rabbit, for this very good visit. I thoroughly enjoyed myself here. I'll be going home now then. Goodbye.
Pooh turned his round body around and headed for the door. Upon reaching the hole, he started to climb out with his front paws. He reached up to grab the edge of the hole and pulled himself through and got his head out in the open again. But when Pooh's body got in the middle of the hole, it stopped, held in place by the edges of the hole. Pooh struggled to pull himself the rest of the way through, but his brown little bare body refused to budge any further.
Oh, help. I can't go forward anymore. I must go back.
And Pooh tried to go back, but he found he was still stuck.
Oh, bother. I can't go back either. I can't go forward, and I can't go back. Help and bother.
Now, by this time, Rabbit saw that Pooh was blocking the front door to his home. And he went out by the back door and came round to Pooh at the front and looked him over.
Pooh, my very great friend, are you stuck?
No.
Pooh said, quite embarrassed at the fact that he seemed to be stuck. Rabbit grabbed both of Pooh's paws and pulled with all of his might, but Pooh remained stuck.
The fact is, Pooh, you're stuck.
It seems to me that this wouldn't be an issue if front doors were just a little bit bigger.
Well, it seems to me that this wouldn't be an issue if certain friends didn't eat quite so much when they come over to visit.
Yes, Rabbit. Now that you say that, I think you might be right. But it also seems to me that it wouldn't be an issue if the food offered to company wasn't quite so delicious.
Yes, well, it seems to me that the only remedy to the extremely delicious food issue is that I shall go and fetch Christopher Robin, and he might know what to do.
Christopher Robin lived at the other end of the forest, and when he came back with Rabbit and saw the front half of Pooh, he said in a loving voice that made Pooh and Rabbit feel quite hopeful again.
Silly old bear.
I was just beginning to think that Rabbit might never be able to use his front door again, and that doesn't sound very good at all.
Use his front door again? Of course he will. But if we can't pull you out, Pooh, we might be able to push you back.
However, Christopher Robin, once Pooh is pushed back, he won't be stuck, but he will still be in my home. And while nobody will be more glad to see my very great friend Pooh than me, he will still be in my home and won't be able to get out.
Yes, I see. That's a problem. Well, then there's only one thing to be done. We shall have to wait for you to get thin again.
How long does getting thin take?
I don't know, Pooh. Quite some time, I should think. It might be a long time before you're thin enough that we can get you unstuck. But don't worry, Pooh. I will stay here with you until you are thin enough again. I can read to you and keep you company.
Oh, I like being company. It means there'll be food.
I'm afraid there can't be any food during this company, Pooh. If we need to get you thin again, you can't have any food. That's what got you stuck in the first place.
Yes, you're right. Oh, bother. Well, Christopher Robin, if it isn't too much trouble, would you read a sustaining book? A book that would help and comfort a bear stuck in a tight space?
Of course, Pooh.
So, Christopher Robin stayed with Pooh the rest of the day and throughout the night. He read a book to Pooh that was very comforting indeed. Comforting to a bear stuck in a tight space. Pooh fell asleep in Rabbit's front door, but knowing his friends, Christopher Robin and Rabbit, were right there with him. In the morning, Pooh woke up to find that both Christopher Robin and Rabbit had also fallen asleep, right next to him. Pooh said,
Good morning, Christopher Robin and Rabbit. Thank you for spending the night with me.
Good morning, Pooh. Shall we try to get you unstuck now?
Yes, I believe I should like that very much.
So would I. I shall go inside through the back door and push.
Rabbit went back inside through the back door while Christopher Robin took a hold of Pooh's front paws. Rabbit called from the inside,
Are you ready, Christopher Robin?
I'm ready.
So Christopher Robin began to pull on Pooh's front paws while Rabbit pushed on Pooh's back paws. For a long time they pushed and pulled until, all of a sudden, Winnie the Pooh popped out of the hole and fell down on top of Christopher Robin.
Oof! I'm free! Oh my goodness. I don't know how to thank you, Christopher Robin.
You can thank him by never getting stuck in my front door again, Pooh.
Yes, I think so, Rabbit. That sounds like a very good idea. Besides, all this getting stuck business has made me so hungry. I must get home and find something to eat right away. I'll visit you again later, Rabbit. Goodbye for now.
Silly old bear.
Chapter 3, in which Pooh and Piglet go tracking and nearly catch a woozle. In the middle of the forest was a very large beech tree, and in the middle of the beech tree was a very grand house, and in the middle of the very grand house lived a friend of Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh. And this friend was named Piglet. One fine winter's day, when Piglet was brushing away the snow in front of his house, he happened to look up, and there was Winnie the Pooh, walking around and around in a circle, thinking very hard.
Hello, Pooh. What are you doing?
Piglet called out. Pooh thought some more for a moment, then said,
Shh. I'm tracking something.
Tracking something? What are you tracking?
I don't know yet. Seems to be some kind of forest creature. I shall have to catch up with it to see what it is. Now, look there. What do you see?
Tracks. Paw marks. Oh, Pooh, do you think it's a woozle?
It may be. Sometimes it's a woozle. Sometimes it isn't a woozle. You can never tell with these paw marks.
And with those few words, Pooh went on tracking. Piglet, after watching him for a minute, ran after him and followed Pooh for a bit. Suddenly, though, Winnie the Pooh came to a stop and was bending over the tracks in a puzzled sort of way.
What's the matter, Pooh?
It's a very peculiar thing. But there seems to be two animals now. First there was a whatever it was.
Maybe a woozle?
And now, the first animal that might be a woozle was joined by another whatever it is. maybe also a woozle. And it seems the two of them are now traveling together. Would you mind coming with me, Piglet? Just in case they turn out to be hostile animals?
Well, I don't know, Pooh. What if they are woozles? I hear woozles can be very ferocious creatures. I'm a bit frightened by the possibility that they might be woozles. But you're my friend, Pooh, and I wouldn't want you to face ferocious woozles by yourself. Yes, Pooh, I will travel with you, just in case.
Thank you, Piglet.
So Pooh and Piglet traveled together, walking through the snow slowly, looking at the tracks. The paw prints left behind by the animals that might be woozles they were tracking. And the tracks led around the back of the beech tree that Piglet's Grant house was in. It seemed as if the two woozles, if that's what they were, had been going around the beech tree. So, Pooh and Piglet went around the beech tree after them. But the further they went around the tree, the further the tracks continued ahead of them. Suddenly, Pooh stopped and pointed exactly in front of him.
Look, the tracks. A third animal has joined the other two.
Oh my, Pooh, do you think it's another woozle?
Well, I'm not sure. It could be, but it makes different marks. It is either two woozles and a different animal, perhaps a whizzle, or it could be two whizzles and one woozle. We shall have to keep tracking them to find out.
Oh no, I hear whizzles are even more ferocious than woozles. We have to be careful, Pooh.
So they went on, feeling just a little anxious now, just in case the three animals in front of them were hostile and ferocious indeed.
You know, Piglet, I think it would be very nice indeed if we had another friend here. Like Christopher Robin.
I agree, Pooh. Christopher Robin being here would definitely make me feel a little safer.
But just in that moment, Pooh stopped again, and Piglet almost ran right into him.
Why did you stop again, Pooh?
Do you see, Piglet? Look, now there are 4 sets of tracks. It could be 2 woozles and 2 whizzles, or 3 whizzles and 1 woozle, or even 3 whizzles and 1 woozle.
Oh, Pooh, I'm not so sure we should be tracking these animals now. It seems like the further we go following them, the more animals are travelling together. If we should catch up with them, and there are too many for us to be safe. I don't want to abandon you, Pooh, but I don't think it's a good idea to continue.
Suddenly, Pooh and Piglet heard a branch snap. Was it a woozle, or a whizzle, or a whole bunch of ferocious hostile animals? No, it was Christopher Robin coming through the wood to say hello.
Hello, Pooh. Hello, Piglet. How are you both today?
Oh, thank heavens it's you, Christopher Robin.
Hello, Christopher Robin. I think I'm very happy to see you at this particular moment. We've been tracking some animals that might be ferocious woozles or hostile whizzles.
Oh, these tracks here? Well, let me take a look and see if I can tell what type of animal made the tracks.
Christopher Robin bent down and looked carefully at the tracks. Then he looked at Pooh's paws and at Piglet's hooves. Then Christopher Robin stood up and laughed.
Silly old bear. Don't you see whose tracks these are? First, you went around Piglet's beech tree by yourself. Then Piglet came after you, and you both went around the tree again. You two made those tracks. You've been tracking yourselves, Pooh.
Wait a moment. You really think that's the case?
Pooh stood there and thought, in the most thoughtful way he could think. Then he bent down and laid his paw into one of the tracks, and it saw it fit perfectly. He stood back up and scratched his nose twice.
Yes, I see now. I've been a little foolish about this whole tracking business. Oh, bother. I must have fluff in my head, and I am a bear with very little brain indeed.
No, Winnie the Pooh, you're the best bear in the world. You just get a little mixed up from time to time, just like I do. But you're still the best bear a boy could be friends with.
Am I?
Yes, you are. Anyhow, it's almost time for lunch.
I have a splendid idea. Why don't you both come to my house and I'll get some lunch for all three of us? That sounds much better than tracking ferocious animals.
You are right, Piglet. That sounds very good indeed.
Chapter 4, in which Eeyore loses a tail and Pooh finds one. The old gray donkey, Eeyore, stood by himself in a thistly corner of the forest, his front feet well apart, his head to one side while he thought about things. Sometimes he thought sad thoughts, and today was one of those sad thoughts days. But when Winnie the Pooh came walking along, Eeyore was very glad to be able to stop thinking sad thoughts for a little while and greeted Pooh with,
"How do you do, Pooh?"
I do, Eeyore. And how are you?
Eeyore shook his head from side to side.
"Not very well. I haven't felt very well at all for quite some time."
Oh dear. I'm very sorry about that. Is there anything I can do for you? Let's have a look at you.
Eeyore stood there gazing sadly at the ground, while Winnie the Pooh walked all round him a couple times.
Why, Eeyore, what has happened to your tail?
"My tail? What has happened to it?"
Why, it isn't there.
"Not there? Are you sure?"
Well, either a tail is there, or it isn't there. You can't make a mistake about that. And yours isn't there.
"Let me have a look."
Eeyore slowly turned round to the place where his rear end was, but he found that his backside was not there anymore, and was suddenly behind him again. Then he turned round again, but his bare back kept going behind him, almost like it didn't want to be seen. Eeyore huffed and turned around once more, trying to see his backside, but it refused to meet his front side. So, getting a bit frustrated, Eeyore just looked down and back between his legs and saw that Pooh was right. His tail was gone. At long last, he said, with a long, sad sigh,
"I believe you're right, Pooh. That accounts for quite a bit. It explains everything. No wonder."
You must have left it somewhere. Don't worry, Eeyore. I, Winnie the Pooh, will find your tail for you.
"You will? Well, thank you, Pooh. But I'm not very confident you will find it. Seems like once a donkey loses its tail, it's all downhill from there."
So, Winnie the Pooh went off to find Eeyore's tail. It was a fine spring morning in the forest as he started out, looking here and looking there as he walked along. After a while of walking through the forest, Pooh finally came to the 100-acre wood. For it was the 100-acre wood that Owl lived.
And if anyone knows anything about anything, it's Owl, who knows something about something. Owl is one of the wisest owls I know.
Owl lived at the Chestnuts. The Chestnuts was an old-world home of great charm, which was a grander home than anybody else's, or so it seemed to Pooh, because it had both a door knocker and a bell pull. Pooh, greatly needing Owl's help, both rapped the door knocker and pulled the bell rope. The bell rang loud and clear, and the door knocked with a thump, thump, thump to announce Pooh's presence. After a moment, the door opened and Owl looked out.
"Well, hello, Pooh. What brings you to the 100-acre wood? And how are you, my dear bear?"
Oh, Owl. I am terrible and sad because Eeyore, who is a friend of mine, has lost his tail, and he's moping about it. Could you very kindly give me some advice on how to find it for him?
Owl was a very wise owl indeed, and it gave him great pleasure to help his friends with advice.
"Of course, Pooh. Well, the customary procedure in such cases is as follows.
Excuse me, Al, but what does crustimony pro seed cake mean? You see, I'm a bear of very little brain, and long words confuse me.
My apologies, Pooh. It means the proper things to do.
As long as it means that, I don't mind.
The thing to do is as follows. First, issue a reward. We make a sign to say that we will give a large something to anybody who finds Eeyore's tail.
I see. Talking about large somethings, I generally have a small something to eat just about this time of day. Just a mouthful of condensed milk or a bit of bread. With perhaps a lick of honey?
Well, then we will make this sign, and we put it up in a conspicuous place in the forest.
Conspatulous place? A lick of honey is what I was thinking would be just great at this time.
And then, when people read the sign, they will be inclined to formulate a plan of action.
Unkind of four be late?
Pooh tried very hard to listen to what Owl was saying, but Owl went on and on and on, using longer and longer words, until at last he came back to where he started, and said that the person who should make this sign was Christopher Robin.
Oh, Christopher Robin is better at writing than I am. He's the one that made the sign above my door. Did you see it when you were coming in, Pooh?
No, Owl. But I was in such a hurry to find you and get your help, I didn't have a lot of time for sign reading.
Oh, well, you must come and see what a fine job Christopher Robin did making my sign for me. Come outside and look at it with me.
So they went outside, and Pooh looked at the sign above the door. But just then, Pooh looked next to the sign above the door at the bell rope hanging down from the bell. And the more he looked at the bell rope, the more he felt that he had seen something like it somewhere else sometime before.
Ah, I see you admiring my bell rope. It's a very good bell rope, don't you think, Pooh?
Yes, but it reminds me of something, and I can't think what. Where did you get it?
I just came across it in the forest. It was hanging over a bush. It seemed as if someone had just left it there and didn't want it. So I picked it up and took it home, and...
Ow! I just figured out what your bell rope reminds me. And I think you made a mistake. Somebody did want it.
Oh? Who do you think wanted it?
Eeyore, my dear friend Eeyore. He was very fond of it. So fond of it, it was attached to him. Owl, your bell rope is Eeyore's tail.
Oh dear. Well, that will not do at all. We must return it to him at once.
So, with those words, Owl unhooked the bell rope tail from the bell, and both Pooh and Owl took it back to Eeyore. Christopher Robin just happened to be with Eeyore at that moment.
Hello, Christopher Robin. Eeyore, we found your tail. Christopher Robin, would you be so kind as to reattach it to Eeyore?
And when Christopher Robin had nailed it on in its right place again, Eeyore looked a little less gloomy as he was waving his tail happily. Chapter 5, in which Piglet meets a heffalump. One day, Christopher Robin, Winnie the Pooh, and Piglet were talking together in the forest. Christopher Robin finished the mouthful of cereal he was eating and said,
I saw a heffalump today.
What was it doing?
Just lumping along. I don't think it saw me.
I saw one once. At least, I think I did. Only, perhaps it wasn't.
So did I.
said Pooh, wondering what a heffalump was.
You don't often see them.
No, not now.
Not at this time of year.
Pooh and Piglet had to go home, so they bid Christopher Robin goodbye and stood up to walk home. They walked side by side along the path. They didn't talk much at first, but then they began to talk in a friendly way about food and fun and friendship, when Pooh suddenly said,
Piglet, I've decided something.
Oh? What have you decided, Pooh?
I've decided to catch a heffalump. I'll do it by means of a trap. I should think it must be a smart trap, so you'll have to help me, Piglet.
All right, Pooh. I'll help you. How shall we do it?
Well, I should think that the natural enemy of a heffalump is a very deep hole. If we dig a very deep hole, the heffalump would be walking along and fall into the hole and...
Why?
Why what?
Why would the heffalump fall in?
Well, the heffalump might be walking along, humming a little song and looking up at the sky, wondering if it would rain. And so he wouldn't see the very deep hole until he was halfway down it. And then it would be too late.
Oh yes, Pooh. That seems like a very good trap. But supposing it were raining already?
I hadn't thought of that. Well, if it were raining already, I suppose the heffalump would be looking at the sky, wondering if it would stop raining. And so he wouldn't see the very deep hole until he was halfway down in it. And then it would be too late.
Ah, yes. Now that you've explained that, I think it's a very smart trap.
Pooh was very proud when he heard Piglet's praise, and he felt that the heffalump was as good as caught already. But there was just one other thing which had to be thought about, and it was this. Where should they dig the very deep hole?
I should think that the best place would be somewhere where a heffalump is, just before he fell into it, only a little way ahead of him.
But then he would maybe see us digging it.
Yes, I think you're right. Well, what if we just dig the very deep hole further away from the heffalump so he can't see us digging it, but then we put the heffalump's favourite food inside so he will smell it and be drawn to the hole and go down after it? The question is, what do heffalumps like? I should think acorns, shouldn't you?
Acorns? I would think that honey is a much more favorite thing of heffalumps than acorns.
Honey is very tasty. All right then, we'll use honey for the trap.
Yes, honey. I shall go home and get some, as I happen to have just a little at home that I can spare. While I'm going to get it, Piglet, would you be so kind as to dig the hole?
Of course.
So, Pooh went home to get the honey, and Piglet started digging in the dirt with his pink little hooves. Pooh was gone for quite some time, as he lived a little ways away from where they were. And when he finally came back with a big jar of honey, Piglet was breathing fast and deeply, as he had been working very hard to dig the very deep hole. Pooh came to the edge of the hole and looked down at Piglet inside and said,
This doesn't look very deep, Piglet.
I'm sorry, Pooh. I dug as much as I could while you were gone.
No worries, Piglet. This'll do just fine, I think. Here's the honey.
This doesn't look like a lot of honey to try and catch the heffalump, Pooh.
I'm sorry, Piglet. I got hungry along the way and had some of the honey.
No worries, Pooh. This will do just fine, I think. Okay, the honey is in the hole. Can you help me up out of here, please?
Pooh helped Piglet out of the hole, and they both went home, agreeing to come back in the morning to see if they caught a heffalump in their very smart trap. They both went to sleep and dreamed of catching so many heffalumps they wouldn't know what to do with them all. Some hours later, after it got dark and the moon was shining bright, Pooh woke up suddenly with a sinking feeling in his belly. He had had that sinking feeling before, and he knew what it meant. He was hungry. So, he went to his pantry, stood on a chair, and reached up to the top shelf where he kept his honey and found nothing.
That's funny. I know I had a jar of honey there. I wonder where it's gone. Oh yeah! Now I remember. We put it in a very smart trap to catch a heffalump. Oh, bother.
Pooh went back to bed, but he couldn't sleep. The more he tried to sleep, the more he couldn't. He tried counting sheep, and when that didn't work, he tried counting heffalumps. That didn't work either. In fact, it made him even hungrier, because Pooh was imagining all the heffalumps eating his honey. Pooh lay there for a long time, trying to forget about his hunger and get more sleep. But, after a while, he couldn't bear it any longer, and he jumped out of bed, ran out of the house, and ran straight to the very deep hole. He climbed down inside and got the honey jar. There was so little honey in it, he couldn't reach to scoop it out with his paw.
Baller. A heffalump has been eating it.
Pooh stuck his head into the jar to see if he could get that little honey that was left that way. His head bumped inside as his ears got through the opening, and he licked up the little bit of honey that was there. But when Pooh tried to pull his head out of the jar, he found it was stuck. Meanwhile, over at Piglet's house, Piglet was just waking up.
Oh, my, that was a very good sleep. I should tell Pooh about it when I see him next. Oh dear, I wonder if we caught a heffalump in our very smart trap.
Piglet quickly got dressed and ran out the door to see if a heffalump was caught. Piglet ran all the way to the very deep hole before stopping a little ways away and snuck up to the edge to peer cautiously over the edge. He saw something in the hole that he could not recognize, with a big, round head.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, help, help! It's a heffalump, a horrible, horrible heffalump. Help, help, a horrible heffalump. Huff, huff, a horrible heralump. Ho, ho, a huffable hellarump.
Piglet scampered off as fast as he could, still crying out, and he didn't stop crying and scampering until he got to Christopher Robin's house.
Whatever's the matter, Piglet?
Heifer, it's a heffalump. We caught a heffalump.
What did it look like?
Why, it was the most horrible thing you've ever seen. It had a giant round head and a brown furry body, and it made terrible noises like, oh.
I'd better come take a look. Come on.
Piglet led Christopher Robin to the very deep hole, and when they got close, they heard a bumping sound.
What is that bumping?
I don't know, Christopher Robin.
It was Pooh bumping the honey jar stuck on his head against the side of the very deep hole, trying to get it to break. All that time, Pooh had been trying to get the jar off his head, but the more he shook it, the more tightly it stuck.
Oh, bother. Help! Ow! Oh, ow! Oh, Piglet, that's Pooh. He's just got a honey jar stuck on his head.
Oh my word, you're right. It is Pooh. Pooh, why are you impersonating a heffalump?
Christopher Robin and Piglet helped Winnie the Pooh out of the very deep hole, and then they pulled the honey jar off his head.
Oh, thank you so much, Christopher Robin and Piglet. You're just in time to save me. I'm starving. Let's go home and get some honey. This jar is empty. Silly old bear.
Well, hello there. Howdy, howdy. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. How y'all doing? Thank you for joining us. All right. So, two housekeeping items before we go any further. First of all, this is the Sleight of Game Shatterproof Theater. Our sponsor this month is Sleight of Game. He requests that you go check out shatterproof.org, which is an organization devoted to helping those with drug addictions get the help that they need. And it's a subject that's very near and dear to his heart. So go check it out. He would appreciate that. If you are so inclined and have a few bucks to spare, a small donation would be great. And then in 2 days' time, Whitney is going to be celebrating her birthday. So happy birthday, Whitney. And hope you have a good one. Yeah. All right. Unlike some of the audio dramas that we've done in the past, we're not really going to talk a lot about what you just saw. So I'll just give you a brief description. This year, A.A. Milne, who was the original author of Winnie the Pooh, wrote the story, the first book, in 1926. So 95 years later, which is this year, it entered the public domain. And so I thought to myself, having quite a few things that I do with public domain movies and things like that, boy, this would be an excellent opportunity to put something together that is heartwarming and made for families, and we would have a lot of fun with. Because when I was growing up, I don't know about you, Doom, but when I was growing up, one of the cartoons that I watched as a kid was The Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. And sometime, I believe it was in 1951 or 1952, Disney bought the rights to Winnie the Pooh from A.A. Milne, and they went on to put their version of the story together. So aside from the little bit of the intro theme, which is not a version that Disney put out, I couldn't really put anything in this that was Disney-like, because they still own the rights to their version of Winnie the Pooh. So that's why you saw the original artwork that was, the drawn and put into the book that Milne wrote. And one more note about that is that it was for sure based on his son, Christopher Robin. And these were the stories that he told to Christopher Robin, who had a small teddy bear named Pooh. And actually, it was Edward Bear, and then he kind of changed that, as children often do, to Pooh. So yeah, that's where the storyline comes from, and you can go on the internet and download for free the entire book, including the images, and that's what I did. And aside from adapting some of the language to more modern times, because it was written 95 years ago, and there was some language in there that if I had it in here, people would be going, "What the hell?" It was just a little bit of updating for, like, the same kind of changes you would make adapting from a book to a screenplay. So, things that didn't quite work because it was in book format and that. So that was the first 5 chapters. There are 5 more chapters. And as you saw, that will be premiering here on EBC on Sunday, February 2nd or 5th. February 5th. And that will be the other final chapters, and then there will be some additional content that night as well that is not Winnie the Pooh related, but it will also be family friendly. So that's pretty much it, and I hope you all enjoyed it. I want to thank the actors. We had Tuba as the narrator, we had Joe as Winnie the Pooh, and Christopher Robin. Now, I approached Joe a long time ago about this, because I thought, I want to feature Joe in something a little more prominently, and this kind of just, like, fell into place. It was very well done. Joe has a very natural high-pitched voice, so I thought, not only the the Christopher Robin part, playing the child aspect of it, but then Winnie the Pooh, who's essentially a personality that is an extension of Christopher Robin, so that's why he voiced both of them. And then Legion Cage as a rabbit, because who else are you gonna get to play a crotchety old man? And yeah, and Millegio is Eeyore with that natural deep vibrato voice. Excellent. I mean, he instantly came to mind. And Squidge as LL McRae, or as Piglet, and she did an excellent job. And Tinkerer as Owl, of course. And we still have 5 more characters coming up in part 2 that nobody knows who they are except for those people. We kind of kept it secret until tonight. So, yeah, it was fun doing that. All right. So that pretty much wraps that up. Now, Christmas is in a week. Doom. Yeah. First of all, welcome, Doom. How are you this evening? What's
I'm doing great.
What's happening with you? Are you well? Is your family well?
Yeah, we're doing all right. We're looking forward to Christmas. The kids got school off for the next couple of weeks, and I've got like 4 more days, and I've got a pretty good vacation going on to the beginning of the year. So, just looking forward to that.
Oh, awesome. So the reason I wanted you, Doom, even though you weren't a part of the Winnie the Pooh project, to come on here is because it's a message that you and I have been sharing in various ways over the past year and beyond, and that is just to be kind. I love now. I mean, I don't know when exactly you might have started it. I don't know. You might have been doing it all along before I even showed up on the scene. You ending your streams with just be kind. And that really hits home for me, because I see like so many of the problems that we see in the world are simply because people just cannot bring themselves to be kind. And sometimes it's because they're angry, or they're sad, or depressed, or they're dealing with a whole bunch of stuff, and that might stop them from doing that. But I feel like if all of us just put forth a little more kindness in this world, it would really make a difference. So what are your thoughts on the kindness aspect?
I mean, it's a season especially, where it's most important and is oftentimes the most hardest thing to do. I mean, this season can bring out some of the best in people, and it can also bring out some of the worst in people, especially with people who work in customer service. There's people trying, that whole mentality of trying to make that perfect Christmas, or not getting that thing, and but ultimately, if everybody just stood back and just kind of looked at what the season was about, it's not about that perfect Christmas. It's just about, being with family and friends and the people you care about ultimately. I mean, it's the reason for the season, right?
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned retail, because I mean, we see how not devastating, but I mean, like how stressful and how much anxiety is caused by Black Friday to kick it all off, which now happens, I don't know, maybe 48 hours before Thanksgiving for all, because they've been pushing it back, and all the way up through the holiday season, because there's such this big push of commercialism that all of the stores are just, I don't even want to go into stores this entire month.
Yeah. No, I mean, you've got that last week right before Christmas too, and that's even more, just that last minute shopping, and it's not necessarily people's fault that they have to wait till the last minute to get anything, and it's just all that pressure. Then finally, when the day comes, we can just kind of sit back and relax and then just look about you and enjoy the day for what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's just getting to that times, and finally, getting that final sigh for that day. It's like, all right, we did it. We got here. Whether if you got everything or you didn't get anything. So I think as long as everybody's together, it's a perfect Christmas or a perfect holiday.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the day after Christmas when you're going to do two things every single year, and that is go buy batteries because you forgot the batteries, and go return this thing that was broken. Yeah, but
oh no, I got gift cards too. I'm going shopping.
Oh, there you
It's
go.
all the deals. Everybody returning their stuff, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick that up for cheaper.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So, Doom, I have to apologize to you right off the bat because I have perpetrated a little bit of a falsehood with you. So I hope you'll forgive the couple of fibs that I told here along the way, because the rest of the show is not going to be what we discussed, which is kind of like a round table and things. So what we're actually going to do is a group of us got together here, people in the community, and we got you a Christmas present. So we're going to give it to you here on the air. But before we do that, I'm going to call on some of the people. You might have noticed that we've been in this group chat, and some of those people were not necessarily related to the Winnie the Pooh project. So those are the people that helped get this gift for you for this Christmas. So I'm going to call on each and every one of them because we all want to say a few words about what you mean to not only this community, but us personally, because, you know, I've known you for a year and a half, and you make a much bigger impact than you think you do, positive impact on people's lives. And despite all of the warnings about you being the worst, you are indeed the best. And we wanted to show that to you. So we're going to start with Tuba. So Tuba, if you would unmute yourself, please. And Tuba, would you like to say some words to Doom here?
Of course. It's really hard to kind of put what most people would want to say about Doom into kind of like a short sentence. Doom, you really are an inspiration for a lot of people. You do spread positivity, like Scotty was saying. It's really hard to put into small words. Like, you really do inspire a lot of people to do things better and be better for everybody. To keep it short, just keep being you. You really do a lot for us.
Thank you. You guys do a lot for me. You have no idea. I always say and stuff like that, I'm only as good as the people I surround myself with, and I surround myself with some really awesome people in this community. Are just talented and wonderful people to be around. So yeah, and you'll help me just as much.
Yeah. So it's an exchange, but I try to hold it back to him because we're not quite there yet. So, and it's okay if if you feel you need to cry, but we need to get through this at least.
Nope.
So let me call on Whitney next. Whitney, if you would go ahead and unmute yourself.
So I'm sitting here getting emotional already. I just Christmas is hard for me, and I was having a bad day today, and just this is good. I'm so happy to be here to witness this and tell you how incredible of a person you are. You found me way back in the beginning, back when I wasn't Witch Whitney. I had 2 names since then, and you have been there to support me, even through my long bursts of not streaming and silence, and getting to go on your streams and see your positivity and how you interact with the community. You're a doom of sunshine, if that sounds. You are absolutely a wonderful person. I'm super grateful to be here and be a part of this, and I wish you a Merry Christmas.
Oh, thank you. Merry Christmas to you too and your family.
Thank you, Whitney. All right. Let me call on Slight next. Slight of game, and
Hello.
we were also hoping Steph would be here, but she probably had a prior commitment. So, Slight, if you would also speak on behalf of your sister, please.
Oh, she'll hate that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just pretty much to reiterate what Tuba said. You know, some of my most favorite people on this planet are the ones that I look up to, are the ones that have gone through hell essentially and survived, and it doesn't turn them into someone bitter or jaded. You know, where they're just constantly pissed off or upset about things because of their childhood, but they push on with love to boot. And that's you. You're one of those people that is just, you've gone through so much, and it's incredible to witness. And not to get all preachy here, but in the spirit of Christmas, you do exemplify that Christ-like spirit where you take stuff and you don't send it back with hate, but you just keep loving no matter how much bad happens to you. And it's fantastic to witness, and you're a fantastic role model. So keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Slight. Yeah, Doom is now halfway to beat red, but we're not done yet.
My face hurts from smiling.
Joe, would you like to say a few words for you and
Hey,
Amercy?
buddy. Yeah. So I am one of the few unfortunate people that have the privilege of, in the bragging rights, to say that I knew Doom before the cameras turned on, the proverbial cameras, and before the late night retro streams and the awesome raid trains and just the moments. He and I met through a hobby, and we got together in the game room. Much of what we do in the game room is because of Mike. And it's just great being able to be with him for these past going on 8 years now. And just always being there for these moments of growth. And, you know, I was telling him the other week how proud I am that he's just still growing. He's just consistently, you know, hitting all the beats, and in the most genuine way too. Like he never once stopped and said, well, what about me? He was always about everybody else. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for everything.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Legion Cage.
Yeah, if I find the unmute button. Oh, so Doom. Let's see. The guy, I've quoted this many times, and I'll continue saying it. He wandered into my stream one day when I had like 3 followers and never left.
Oh, so it's all Doom's fault.
It is 110%. He just rolled in and just hung out and talked, and we just had a good time while I was being an idiot on the internet because I was starting this streaming thing. And see, it's a good thing you don't have cameras on everyone here, Scotty. This is embarrass him. But you know, most people like, you know, I'm pretty friendly with a lot of people, but I only have, besides obviously Short and Sweet, I only have really about 4 people in my life that I consider very close friends, and Doom is one of them. He's someone I talk to daily. Talk to him about anything and everything under the sun. You know, he's someone that I can, you know, just literally talk to about anything that I need to talk about or anything I want to talk about. We can screw around, send stupid memes back and forth. We can talk about serious. We can talk about plans we want to do. You know, I've already drowned on too long. Honestly, in short, I love you, brother.
I love you too.
That's really what it is, you know. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Cage. Short and Sweet.
Oh gosh. All right, I'm gonna get myself together.
Keep it together, folks.
Doom, like you are one of the first people that we really connected with, and we're very fortunate that you're so close in an area to us because we're only a couple of hours away, and so we've gotten the opportunity to hang out with you and meet your family and sorry. We are very blessed. Very blessed that you're in our lives. You make our lives so much better.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, cut it out. No,
Thank you.
No, thank you. I love the hell out of you guys so much.
Okay, dude, we're almost done. This one will probably make you laugh more than cry, although you might laugh until you cry. Malegio, would you like to say a few words? Malegio?
Hi, I'm Consummate Crime. All right, maybe not. Listen, buddy, I'd love to roast him right now, but I gotta tell him that the truth is you're a beacon of hope to us, whether you know it or not. What makes a community really work is when we have something to stride towards, and you are that shining example to us of what being a good person and a good streamer is. So we all look up to you, and from the bottom of my heart, man, I love you, brother.
I love you too, bud. I really do. I love the hell out of you guys so much.
All right. So it's my turn now. And I could probably sum all of this up by citing the way when you're streaming Doom, you interact with new people. And I almost have to laugh sometimes because you're so kind-hearted that this could be a bot. It could be a graphic designer. It could be somebody trying to come into the stream as somebody else present had not too long ago, telling everybody about the good news of Jesus Christ and using Twitch as a platform. It doesn't matter. It could be the best or the worst person on the face of the earth coming into your stream and saying hello, and you respond the same way with everybody. Thank you. Hi, how you doing? I appreciate you so much. That is why you have been my favorite streamer all this time. It's because you genuinely are kind. And as much as you say you're the worst, and I get that, we've all got our baggage, and there's been a lot of things that happened in your life that made you think that over time. But you, as I said to you, I think in a private message, maybe 6 or 8 months ago, we wouldn't all be here if you were the worst. Our presence is the proof that you are indeed the best, and I appreciate you so much just for being you. So that's enough of the embarrassing stuff, okay? So that actually wasn't the gift. I know, right? Don't have a heart attack or anything like that quite yet.
I might. I
know.
I don't know.
Yeah, but wait, there's more. Where's Billy? What's his name? Yeah. There's one more person that would like to say a few words, but for this person, I'm gonna have you stand up and take one of your headphone cans off.
Jesus.
And I'm going to zoom out here.
So, can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah? Good? All right.
But
Well,
dude, hold
scoot
on.
over just a little bit
Yeah, we
here.
got to get you in the camera here.
Hey.
All right.
Hey, there we are.
Oh, there we go.
So, I gotta ask, are you tired of being embarrassed?
I don't give a skeever's tail if you're done being embarrassed. We got more coming at you, brother. I gotta tell you guys, like, I've known this dude forever. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the first time we actually met. I came in the back door of the high school, and here's this head sitting there with these big Coke bottle glasses, smelling like cigarettes, and he goes, "Nice shirt, dude." As kind as could be. And I blew him off. It was a Wolverine shirt. It was a nice shirt.
It was an awesome shirt.
Yeah. It wasn't until a couple of months later,
Probably, yeah.
that this dude was sleeping on my brother's couch because he had no one to support him. My brother gave him more support than a lot of his family did. And you were instantly a brother.
Always, man.
And so we love you so much.
I fucking love you, dude. So fucking much.
And on behalf of a lot of the people here in the community,
Yeah. They're lovely lights, but they like to tangle on everything. Kittens to boot.
So maybe slide your chair over here.
Yeah. Oh my god.
We're gonna wreck his whole section here.
My god, this thing's huge.
So, yeah. There you go, Papa Doom. Get busy.
Goodness. It's so beautifully wrapped, I don't want to worry with it.
So I do want to give credit to my lovely wife, Ms. McShook, on the bow job.
Oh. Is that bow?
It's not going to be that easy. So let's sit this down here. And if you can use the scissors there.
What did you all do? No way. No way. No way. Well, if it wasn't bad enough to have both of them, you have all three. Oh my god. Well, I guess we got more arcade streams coming. Wow, it's the one with the roller ball. Oh my god. Oh my god.
No live raccoons.
Dude, this thing is huge.
No kidding. It was like, I don't know. We were wondering about how we were going to get all this in the camera here, you know.
Right? Here, grab this. You will. I got that. The lights aren't helping. Yeah. Wow.
There you go. So that is the double tank stick arcade console from X Arcade. It not only has the option for 2 players there, but it also has the weighted heavy-duty roller ball in the middle so that you can play games like Tank Command and Centipede properly. It also has buttons on the sides for pinball games. And yeah, so the whole reason that we wanted to get this for you, Doom, is because First of all, two things. One, your single arcade console that you've had for quite some time has been getting a little bit touchy, especially the joystick. I remember you mentioning a couple of times the joystick or the buttons sticking, so you weren't getting quite as good play from it. And also that, you weren't able to play these games that required the rollerball properly. So I actually decided about a year ago that I was going to get this for you, and then I had talked to Tinkerer when we were down there in Columbus to say, hey, is this something you want to get in on? And he said, of course. And that turned into all of us just donating amount to go ahead and get the entire console. So I want to tell you just briefly, though, it comes with 3 conditions. The first condition is that at some point here, you and I need to meet up so that you can give me your single console. And I think you also mentioned a loose SNES controller at one point, so that I can use that for a couple of episodes of RecTech and clean it up for you and get it in good working operating order. Then the second condition is that you have to play at least 2 streams early next year doing those arcade games like Tank Command and that with the rollerball. And the third condition is you have to do at least 1 stream with Tinkerer there, doing a side-by-side 2-player arcade stream. So that we can view all of that in its glory. The glory that is Doom and his arcade games. So your mic's off.
There we go.
Yeah. So, Merry Christmas. Thank you so much, and hope you love it.
I do. I love it, and I love you all so very much. Thank you all, sir, for all the kind words and just being wonderful friends, and just, I love you all so very much. And I just wish you all just the merriest of Christmas and the happiest of holidays, because you all deserve it, because you're all so fucking amazing.
Well, thank you. All right.
Sorry for cursing.
Also, Doom just started his own Discord. So check out the next Doom stream, and he will have the link for you to join his Discord as well. But yeah, look for those streams coming up early next year. Maybe, I don't know, Doom's probably like, the kid on Christmas morning who wants to play with it now and is going to hook it up, and it's going to be ready before the end of the year. So
probably tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So thank you again, Doom. Thank you, Tinkerer, for
of course.
Sneaking
And
around
I do
with
wanna-
Laura.
Yeah, real quick. The point of my story there was never judge a book by its cover. Yeah, you all had these kind words, and you're right. Like, dude is always so welcoming, so awesome, and be kind.
All you have to do is just be kind. It means a lot for folks out there.
Yeah. All right. So thank you both, and thank you to everybody who was in our chat. Doom is going to go remove all of the red from his face and the tears and all that, and clean up the gift. And in the meantime, I'm going to take you over to Coming Attractions here on the EBC channel. Thank you, Doom. All right. So there we go. Now, for the rest of the year here on the EBC channel, it's going to be pretty slim pickings, mostly because, as you might have heard recently, I have a new job. I've been there 3 weeks. It's not very intensive, but I'm still getting used to it. I'm getting used to the early morning schedule, and I'm still also having to do, for the most part, some Uber work. And like, for instance, this coming weekend, I will have to be working Uber all weekend. So the streams, unfortunately, on the EBC show are going to be not very much through the end of the year. But then once we get into the new year 2023, there's going to be quite a bit coming up here. So what I do have coming up is starting this Wednesday. Now, I have a show tomorrow night, but I'm going to do this a little bit out of order, and you'll see why in a second. But Wednesday night, we're doing a series in the Conflux called DMCA Disney Doubles, where I show a Disney animated classic and then the live action remake of that. And the first week, I can't even remember what we did because I'm like Pooh Bear and I have very little brain. Last week, though, we did Dumbo, the original Dumbo, and then the remake. And this coming week is going to be Cinderella, made in 1950, and then the remake Cinderella, made in 2015. This DMCA Disney Doubles series, where we do Pinocchio, thank you, where we do a double feature with these two movies, is going to go all the way until the end of March. So that's going to be 12 weeks, or February, 12 weeks, where we're going to be doing this every Wednesday night, showing the animated original and then the remakes. So just watch the schedule if you're interested in that. So that's Wednesday, December 21st. Then Monday, December 26th, I'm finally going to bring out that Super Mario Cross Stitch project. It's been many years since I've done Cross Stitch, and I wanted to get back into it. This is a small project that I can probably do in one stream, and we're going to have some fun with it. And then it will be available for purchase. Anybody who wants to purchase anything that we make on RecTech, I'll have some things ready for you. And then this is the thing that's tomorrow night that I said I was going to get to. It is the 1-year anniversary of Christmas Insanity. 1 year ago today, Cage lost his mind. Actually, tomorrow, Cage lost his mind, and it never returned. That's why he makes that face, because he's slyly saying to you, "I'm crazy. I'm really bad crap crazy." Yes. So tomorrow, for Christmas Insanity, I'm going to be replaying the audio drama. Plus, we're going to have some new content for you from Joel's channel, an episode of F30G. And if you've not seen that before, it's absolutely hilarious. Joel, Russ, and I roast the first 30 minutes of a video game, and we will have an episode of that ready for you, plus the audio drama and commentary from the cast. In particular, Maleggio and Short and Sweet will be joining me. Cage, unfortunately, has to work, but he may be able to pop in here and there for commentary and spouting his crazy nonsense in the chat and whatever else. But you're not going to want to miss that tomorrow, especially if you've never seen it before, Christmas Insanity. And then here is the big announcement. If giving Doom a Christmas present live on air and embarrassing the hell out of him wasn't enough, I have this special thing to announce right now. Well, there you have it. You saw nothing. There's nothing that's going to be jolly at all. So that's it. All right, let's find somebody to raid real quick here. Let me see who's out and about and who's doing the thing and all the other stuff there. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're gonna go see Trouser. Let's see here. What to do? Did I do that? Okay, great. All right, so thank you all for joining us tonight. It's been a blast. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Valentine's Day, Happy Memorial Day, Happy 4th of July, Happy Labor Day, and Happy Halloween, and Happy Thanksgiving, and Merry Christmas. So thank you all so much for joining. I really appreciate you. And don't do anything I wouldn't do, because Doom is the best, and even he isn't going to do that stuff. Right? Yeah. Don't do it. Thank you. We'll see you. Adios. Good night.